why I said hello like that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sip and Spin. My name is Skylar, and over here in an Oliver and Company shirt is Brittany.
Hello. This is a variety podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing. Yes, I'm repping one of my old school favorites today.
Mm-hmm. Heard you talk about Oliver and Company a lot.
Oliver and Company.
It's such a good movie.
It is, and I don't think it gets enough love.
It doesn't. It made me so sad because we used to have it on VHS, and I played it so much that I ruined the VHS tape, and so it started skipping.
Oh no.
And I was like, okay, this is fine, I guess.
This is fine. I think I still have my VHS somewhere. Hopefully it still works.
Yeah, we kept ours, even though it doesn't work, because I just didn't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, I would have been the exact same way.
But how are you?
I am good. I am tired, so if I sound a little out of it, that I had a long night and a long weekend. So I had family in, so I always am extra tired from family time.
How was the movie?
It was fun.
And the hot dog party that Scott threw?
Okay. So my sister and her husband and my niece were in town for just a few days. So Friday, I had to pretty much go straight over to my mom's house, and we were just hanging out and drinking there all day. Played this game called Washers. Have you ever played that? It's kind of like cornhole.
That's what I thought. Okay.
But it's just like, it's a square and then there's a tube, and you have to get either for a point in the square around the tube or in the tube for 3 points.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we played that. Turns out I'm pretty baller at it.
Hell yeah.
So that was fun. We spent a lot of the night doing that. And we ended up staying super late, because then after that, of course, Emery wanted to play Uno.
Did y'all ruin her life again, or?
Well, she knows now what to expect, and
okay.
so she goes into it willingly. She once again sat next to my mother, which is where she should not sit. She hasn't learned that yet. So we played games. So we ended up staying there till like 11 p.m. So we didn't end up getting to go to the hot dog party.
Okay.
Because yes, our friend Scott was having he has Scott looks, so they're like themed potlucks at his house. And this one was hot dog themed, and we were gonna go, but we just ran out of time, got away from us. And we got, by the time that was there, after being outside all day and shit, we were just tired. We were like, I don't know if we want to go around, because we wouldn't know anyone there other than Scott.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't know if I feel like being social. And I'm like, well, I just kind of want to go home and lay on the couch. So I did that. And then yesterday, today is Sunday. Saturday, we went out to dinner. Well, I had to run around town because we were going to a showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show last night, and it was an interactive one, so I wanted to dress up, but I waited till very last minute, so I had to run around town yesterday afternoon trying to find these last little pieces that I needed. I ended up finding them. It was fine, but it was just stressful. And then we went to downtown to dinner, and we were dressed up like crazy people, and it was like 5 p.m. going to dinner at a nice steak place, and we just got so many looks, and people were like, why are you dressed up? And like, what's going on? So we had to constantly tell people we're going to Rocky Horror. But dinner was really good. I had 2 lobster tails.
Ooh.
That were amazing.
Yes.
And then we went to the cigar bar after that, which I have never been to before.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what to expect, but it was actually really nice in there. Richard and Brian got themselves a little cigar, and me and Tara had a really good champagne cocktails there. We were just hanging out there, and then a band or a guy started playing music, so we were there for a bit, and then it was time to go to Rocky Horror, which was very exciting because my stepbrother, or brother-in-law, not stepbrother, that'd be weird. My sister is married to my stepbrother.
Clueless.
She did like Clueless a lot. He has never even seen the movie. So, he was a completely newbie, and he was, stressed about what to expect and all of this, and it was a sold-out show, and it was just very funny to see him experience it for the first time, and They did the props, like, and I was talking to my sister, because they used to do this when I was in high school at the Art House Theater. And I was like, I think it's been like 10 years since they've done Rocky Horror with the props. And before the movie, the director of the theater came out and was like talking and kind of, because they replaced some of the props, like, have you ever done the props one before?
I haven't,
okay.
But my mom, because when the movie first came out, my mom was like, loved it so much, like, and she would go to like local theaters and do the props like every year whenever they had it, like the bread and the water and the umbrella, like.
Yeah, so in the very beginning, the wedding scene, you usually throw rice. That's what we used to do there, but they changed it to bubbles this time, more eco-friendly and less mess for them to clean up, so I get it. Fair. So that was very funny. You just see this whole theater lit up with bubbles. It was pretty fun. And then instead of confetti, they were just like, you can just throw popcorn if you want. And then they did the water guns for the rain again, and the newspaper, and there were like clappers and noisemakers for like the applause. There's a bell. They didn't do the cards, because there's at one point you'd throw cards, and when Dr. Scott breaks in, you're usually supposed to throw a roll of toilet paper, which they used to do that, and it made a huge mess, so they didn't do that this time, which I understand that also. So there's just like little changes like that, but it was a lot of fun. And there were people, like, if you go see it, there's always, like, people have, like, callbacks, like, you shout at the movie. So, like, every time Janet's on screen, a lot of people would yell slut. And when Brad's on screen, people would yell, like, asshole. So there was just a lot of that. And every now and then my Brian would just be like, how do people know this? And it's just like, you just learn it when you come to enough of them. And, like, I hadn't done it in a decade. And I was like, there was slowly coming back to me also. I was like, oh, I remember some stuff I can shout out. So that was fun.
That's awesome.
And Richard's never got to do it with the props before, so that was new for him also.
That's awesome. I'm glad y'all had fun.
Yeah. And then on the way back afterwards, because my mom drove us all down there and she picked them up, we had her drop us off at the brewery by our house, because we were like, oh, we're going to go get a couple drinks and then go home after that. Probably that was a bad idea, because that made me black out. So,
are there any giant bruises?
Well, that's why I brought this up.
Oh.
So I was wearing heels, obviously, and then, I had to walk up the hill to get back to my house.
Yes.
So I had one beer and I was fine. But then we had a second beer and I don't remember walking home. But apparently it was an ordeal and I was stumbling. And when I walked in the door, Richard said I tripped and fell. And so now I'm limping on my knee. And there's a bruise here and there's a bruise on my foot. And I don't remember getting either of them. And then when I woke up this morning, just all of the jewelry and stuff I was wearing, it was just on the bathroom counter everywhere. And then the towel rack was just on the floor. Like, I guess I probably tried to balance on it and knocked that completely over. I don't know. I managed to take my contacts out and my makeup off, though, so go me. But I was using a purse I should not have been using last night. It was one I got from where we used to work. And it was a Bessie Johnson. And it was like spider themed. So I was like, oh, that'll go well. My computer got so quiet. I was worried. It's wrong, but it looks okay. Usually I'm just used to it being so loud when we record. That's a little scary. But it's like, the strap is connected to the zipper with a paper clip. And so it doesn't like to stay shut. It comes unzipped a lot. And I knew that, but it was fine all night. We got someone ringing our doorbell at 8 a.m. this morning. And we were like, what the fuck? Turns out, because of my purse, I lost my wallet last night walking home and my sunglasses that I was wearing with my outfit. And this nice gentleman found it and brought it to the house. And
oh my goodness.
Everything was in it, but it was because of that stupid goddamn purse. And it must have just come up and then just completely fell out. It was just appeared in front of the school.
Oh my god.
And he was like, is this the residence of Brittany? And Richard was like, yeah. And he was like, this was in front of the school. Are these her sunglasses? And Richard was like, yeah. So at least someone nice found it.
Yeah, that's good. That is very good.
Yeah. I mean, I had fun last night.
So, hey, that's all you can ask for. If it makes you feel any better, I have a bruise on my knee too.
Oh, yeah. What'd you do?
And I've got one here, and here, and here,
Oh, God, what did you
and
do?
here, and up here somewhere. I'm pretty sure, and I think one right here. Just all
Just get beat up?
over, up and down my legs.
What happened?
Work, moving barrels
just-
and stuff.
I gotcha.
Yeah, well, when I pulled that muscle on Thursday, I don't know if I told you about it. No, because it wasn't on Thursday. I lied to your face. It was on Friday.
I was gonna say, you didn't mention anything about a pulled muscle.
No, whenever we were trying to get the front of the bar cleared out and like put everything in the back so that way, you know, we didn't have like drunk weekend patrons messing with full 500-pound barrels
It's probably a good call.
of bourbon. So we were moving it, and there was this one barrel, and it was standing up, but I needed to knock it over so I could roll it to the back.
Okay.
So I pull on it, and it doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I pull on it again, and it tilts, but not far enough. And so I pull on it again, and it tilts, but not far enough. And I'm like, fuck it, I give up. So I went and moved the other barrels that were already rolled over, and then moved some more things in the back to get the rest of the barrels in. And so I went back to that barrel, and I was like, all right. So,
Getting this fucking barrel.
so I pull on it once, and it tilts, but not far enough. And my dad is like, no, stop. And then I just yank it and pull and let it drop. And I finally did it, and he was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, And then he like turned around, and I was like,
Oh, no.
because I pulled this whole muscle right here.
Yeah.
Trying to pull, because it was like a 63-gallon barrel of just alcohol. It weighs like almost 500 pounds.
Gosh, you have not learned.
But yeah, and then the rest of the bruises are probably just from like hitting my knee on like whenever I'm writing on the bottles, like hitting my knee on the table or hitting my knee on the barrel. That's usually what happened. I cut my knee open on the barrel one time a couple months ago because we have two tables set up, and one table has legs. And the other table does not have legs, but it's a really good, like, sturdy marble tabletop. So we took empty barrels, and we have 3 empty barrels, one at the end, one in the middle, and one at the other end, holding this table up. But whenever you're rolling past and like writing on the bottles and stuff, you know, you've got that barrel in the way, and barrels have those metal rings around it to hold all the staves together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sliced my knee open on that metal piece one day, on that metal ring that was holding the staves together, and I was like, oh, sick. Like, love that this is happening. And then I just bump it all of the time with my other knee. I'm pretty sure that's how I got that bruise, because I think I hit the on the metal rings where it's got those 2, they're not screws because it doesn't have anything on the other side, but they're like 2 notches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what to call that.
Okay. Notches is fine.
Yeah, because it's like where it comes around and the circle meets,
Yeah.
and it's like holding the ring together, but they're not like screws. They've got like they're a circle like the top of a screw, just without the...
I mean, Richard probably knows. I don't know.
But it's something. And so I think that's what I hit. And so yeah, it's just like a deep purple bruise on my knees, so...
Well, we're in a club, I guess. I have bruises all over, too.
Yeah, but I can't even use the excuse that I was drunk. I just am clumsy.
Just life. Just alive. Well, I guess, what are we drinking? Because I would like to drink it.
Okay. So, it was my choice this week, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Okay. Because normally I double check and like, we'll be like, whose turn was it? And then I'll fast forward all the way to the end of the episode to figure out whose turn it was or what the drink was. And, but I didn't do that this time because I was like, I think it's my choice. So I just, if it's not, it is now.
I'm pretty sure it was.
But we are drinking a bourbon and Diet Coke because Brittany does not like Coke, and I don't like to really drink Coke either. I'm much more of a Diet Coke person. I think Coke has too much sugar in it. But we are drinking a special kind of bourbon. So, as I've talked about, I work at a place where we make and bottle moonshine and bourbon. And we have a bottling contract with a company called Redline, which So I have a bottle of Red Line's vanilla. It's called their Experimental Cask series. So they got a cask that had held vanilla brandy, and so then they put bourbon in the vanilla brandy cask and let it finish in that cask. So it's bourbon, but it has a vanilla brandy finish to it. So it's the Red Line Vanilla Brandy Cask Bourbon. Okay. It's 119 proof, and we have mixed it with Diet Coke because it's like a vanilla Coke.
All right.
Cheers.
It's an actual cheers.
Not a whole lot of vanilla.
Yeah, it's not bad though.
Definitely a lot of bourbon. But I also added a little extra bourbon to mine.
I mean, even this one, you can barely taste the Diet Coke.
Yeah, it's mainly just bourbon.
The bourbon is a strong taste, but it's not a bad taste.
Yeah.
It's not a bad bourbon.
119 proof. I should have got us little sample cups so we could just take little sips of just the straight bourbon before we drink it with the Diet Coke. And I told myself I was going to do that, and then I forgot until literally just now.
That's how it goes. We'll try some after.
Okay.
Well, so what are we doing today?
Well, we are not doing shit.
Yes. So if you listened to last episode, you know we spun true crime, and we were both not happy about it.
Yes, if you listened, we were both dreading it. We both did not want to do it.
Yes. And so me and Skylar actually hung out on a different day of the week this past week.
I know, it was crazy.
So I convinced her to come to trivia on Thursday night, and we had a little conversation.
We did. And so I have written out 2 pages of kind of what we talked about and what we decided on, just from our conversation. And I feel like whenever I was drunk at the brewery, I managed to put my thoughts together very well. But sober me this morning did not do as great as drunk me did at the brewery. But I did write it all down just because whenever I wanted to talk about it, I didn't want it to just be babble.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still just written down babble. It's just... So I didn't really do anything special by writing it out. But yeah, so I'm kind of going to go over that really quickly. You are welcome to jump in or interject at any time or add on to anything as I'm going through this, because it's a conversation that we had together. Mm-hmm. So if you want to add anything, just feel free to jump in whenever.
Okay, sounds good.
So yes, so I have been thinking a lot about the morality of true crime lately. Is true crime something we should even be doing? It involves real people, obviously, who have had horrible things happen to them, and also, the family members of the victims. And even though I'm not delusional enough to think that we have a big enough platform that anyone is listening to us, or that it makes a difference, there have been family members of true crime victims who have spoken out about how these true crime videos or podcasts or documentaries, especially Netflix documentaries, are very re-traumatizing to the families. And at the end of the day, even if we don't have a big platform, we are still part of this true crime, commentary, and, we are perpetuating and participating in this genre, and still continuing to give it a place online, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
And I've kind of thought, there are respectful ways to do true crime, and at the end of the day, I kind of still feel like there is, but it's got to be such an incredibly tight line to walk, and I constantly worry and think about if the way that we've done our true crime has been respectful, because we nervous laugh, and sometimes we make jokes to lighten the mood, which, even though it's not our intentions to be disrespectful, can still be taken disrespectfully, or as being disrespectful. So I've kind of been wrestling with that a lot recently. And also, if we cover a serial killer, we talk about their background, And even though we are not sympathizing with someone who committed these horrible things, like we say it multiple times, like just because these horrible things have happened to this person, like that doesn't mean they can do that. It still can come off that way because we're saying like, oh, they had a tough childhood or something. Like I said, even if that's not our intention, it can still just come off that way because of the nature of what we're talking about. So not only have I been wrestling with the morality of true crime as a genre in general, and if there's a way to do it respectfully or if we should even be doing it at all, but also have been wrestling if this is something I even want to do at all. Because researching and talking about true crime is such like a heavy weight emotionally. Like putting all of this information into my head and then having to relay it later is very heavy, and it's sad, it's heartbreaking, and it's not fun for us, which is what we have always said we wanted this podcast to be. We want it to be something we have fun doing. And like that's why we took current events off the wheel, because we did not like talking about current events. Everything that was happening in the world was depressing and it was sad, and we didn't have fun talking about it. And we started dreading spinning current events, and we have been that same way with true crime for a while. Like, I mean, I cried during the second true crime episode we filmed, like multiple times. And so we've kept this spin around longer than we probably should have, because because we have not enjoyed talking about it for a very long while. We mainly kept it around because it was a genre that people are really interested in. And if it wasn't for the fact that we started wrestling with the morality of covering true crime, we probably would have kept it for even a little bit longer. But putting together the fact that covering true crime is too heavy on our emotional well-being, and the fact that we've been struggling with like the morality of covering true crime, we have decided it is time to take this genre off the wheel. And as of right now, we're thinking about changing the category to like fake crime. So like if you're interested in like the crimes committed by Zeus because he was a terrible terrible entity, or the crimes of like movie villains, or like crimes of book villains, basically stuff that is not real and doesn't have an effect on real life people and doesn't take too much of a toll on our emotional well-being. We may change this category later down the line. It may not always be fake crime, but since this is something we decided to do super last minute, literally 3 days ago, so we came up with the fake crime kind of like on the fly. And thank you for your understanding, and we hope you understand why we did this, and just know that this is the best choice for us, and hopefully you'll stick with it.
Yeah, that was well said, I think. It's pretty much everything we talked about on Thursday. So yeah, I don't really have anything to add. Just that also, it's just, I've noticed there just seems to be a shift in people not really liking true crime that much anymore, and so it just feels like, I don't know, not tacky, but also it's just like you said, if we're not having fun, it's not fun to listen to either.
Yeah.
So, you know. But yeah, fake crime is kind of just a placeholder for now, but if you have any category suggestions, we have a few. Like, we could probably mix up the wheel a little bit overall. Because we've had all these since the beginning now.
Yeah, the newest ones are internet and random, I think.
Yeah. So, like, we could always do a little mix up if anyone has any ideas.
Yeah, let us know. We've got all of our social media that's always linked, and our Gmail. So if you have any ideas or anything you want to hear, just let us know. And if we get like enough people who give us suggestions, we may do like a listener's choice where like you get to pick for that week, and like we'll pick one person who's DM'd something, and that'll be our topic for that week.
Yeah, like it's very free floating here, so we can mix it up.
Yeah,
on the fly.
We're flexible.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that is okay. We're doing it anyway,
yeah.
So you don't really get to decide. It's already been decided.
Oops.
What?
Just it's already been decided. I was like, oops.
Yes. So that being said, we don't really have anything to talk about today.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I literally texted Brittany and I was like, I just wrote 2 pages on why we decided to stop doing true crime, and now I literally like my brain needs to recharge before I can even think about what to do for fake crime. And so then we just decided we aren't doing anything this week.
Yeah. So, I guess we're just gonna chit chat.
Yeah, because you had a very busy weekend, so that's why you didn't have anything.
Yeah,
I just was like, I don't know if I have enough brain power left to like do anything.
I don't know, I'm trying to think if I've even like read a book recently that I could just be like, here's a villain for you if you need someone to be mad at. I am, though, on just a random topic, I've read 72 books out of my 90-book goal this year.
Hey!
So I'm getting close. I'm
That's
3
awesome.
books ahead of schedule. So, yay.
Yeah, I thought about doing all of the crimes committed in Six of Crows, but I realized that would take a long time because literally every page there is a crime happening.
Yeah. Because the whole plot is a crime, isn't it?
Yeah, they're committing a heist. Like,
I just read Kings of Quarantine, which is a bully romance, and it takes place at like a prep school, and it's also our age, so it's like one female, and like 4 or 5 guys, 4 guys, in this one. They committed crimes because they were very bullying. Do you ever read bully romance?
no.
It's fine. Like, there is a whole... Okay, so this book is kind of weird because it's kind of like... I don't know if they wrote it during COVID, but the premise is like they're at this prep school. This girl's dad is like a scientist or whatever, and he's making her go, but she's used to like being on the road and moving around a lot. So she gets enrolled in this prep school, and immediately there's like these 3 kings of the school guy bullies, and one of them's really nice to her, but he's like the man whore, flirty guy, and then there's like this other guy who's like OCD, like everything has to be perfect, everything like bows to him, stuff. And then there's another guy who's kind of like the bad boy. He like goes off, rides motorcycles, fights people for money, that type of stuff. And then one's...
I do love a character who's into boxing and like gets into fights. Like,
he was my favorite instantly, and that tracked through the whole book because he was the only one who was actually like I could stand. And then one is a PE teacher, which you don't love in her life, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I do like a good teacher-student book. But that's a whole other thing. And they haven't even done anything, so it's just the attraction is there, you can tell. And he bullies her a little bit in the beginning just because he's like a mean teacher type of thing, but then he ends up actually being on her side to go against the other 3 guys, and then he ends up joining their like cult, basically. I swear it's a cult. It's so weird. I don't know why I read these books. But okay, so you have to be initiated into the cool crowd, basically, like to be accepted at this school. And the way that they made her do it is they like made her jump off this like house on a lake into the freezing cold lake, and then she had to like swim, touch a thing, and come back. And like they're overly hard on her because they're all like very attractive to her, and they won't want to fuck her, but they're like, but she also doesn't bow to them, and they can't stand that because like she like doesn't take their shit type of thing. And so they don't like that she fights them. And so they keep, like, pushing her. And, like, her roommate was like, they usually just make people jump in. They don't usually have to, like, swim. And she's like, well, that's because they fucking hate me. But, like, she did it anyway because she, like, is a badass. And, like, she's been in training, like, self-defense. Like, she can, like, hold her own type of thing. And so that night, the one who was, like, overly nice to her and, like, really flirty, they ended up having sex. And it was, like, the best sex of his life. Like, he's in love with her, like, kind of doesn't want to go to anyone else because that's like his whole thing. Like she like slept with him thinking he was just gonna move on, and it was just like be a one-off for her also. But they both like had mind-blowing sex or whatever. And then in the middle of the night he gets a phone call from his dad. So there's like this virus going on, kind of like COVID-esque, and it ended up killing his mom, this guy's mom.
Oh.
Like she was already dead in the beginning of the book. Like it was really sad because he didn't get to like say they wouldn't like she was quarantined. He couldn't be near her in her final hours and stuff like that. And so all the people like their parents are all these, like, really powerful, like, people. Like, the one OCD main guy, his dad is the governor. So it's, like, all of these, like, really privileged pricks and stuff. And so this guy's dad calls and is like, oh, we know where the virus came from. And it came from this guy. He has a daughter at your school. Make her life hell. Well, it ends up being the girl that's asleep in his bed right now. It's her dad.
Oh.
So now he is pissed. And he's just, personality just takes a complete switch right here. And I actually really dislike him now. I don't know if he will redeem himself for me. But, so he goes and he has to make a plan with his other friends to, like, get back at her and make her life hell type of thing, because her dad maybe started this virus, which they don't even know for sure, and she, like, still doesn't believe that her dad did it, and I don't know. So
And also she didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, she had no clue, but they're gonna take it out on her. And so he goes and he sets up his phone to record, and he starts asking her questions. And he was asking her, like, very pointed questions to get answers that he wanted, so that later he could cut it up and make it sound like she knew about the virus and, like, she was admitting to it. And they, like, played it over the school loudspeakers and stuff like that. He also filmed them having sex, which was not cool, and played that in front of the school also. The audio, not the video, but still. And so he, like, hate fucks her. And it was very icky from that point. I was like, oh, I don't like that. Don't film a girl without her consent, please. And then it just escalates from there. Like, they had the whole school, like, dump fish stew on her, and she can't leave because they're under quarantine, so, like, she can't, like, just leave school. They won't let her. And they end up somehow tricking her into... So they're all part of this, like, group, and I swear this is why it's a cult, because they're, like, some sort of tribe that used to be there, and they, like, took over the ways of something. I don't know. But basically, they just think they're gods, and they have this, like, tradition, or there's, like, this old folk tale. It's, like, if you go and you touch your hand to the stone, you're, like, a slave, basically, to the night keepers, is what they call themselves. And so they convince her to do this, otherwise they're gonna keep making her life a living hell, and they're also gonna, like, be mean to the one friend she made. And so she's like, okay, fine, whatever, I can handle you. So she does it, essentially, like, becoming their slave type of thing. And then the first thing, like, she has to do whatever they say, basically. They have her sit outside. Like, the main guy's just like, we'll just sit out here on the beach, we'll come back for you later. So they leave, and they go and get drunk at their house, which also, they live in a church that he converted into, like, this weird, like, shrine, like, house for him, and it's above catacombs. Like, it's so weird. It's fine, you know, this happens at prep schools, apparently. And so then this big storm comes in, and they just leave her out there. Like, they get drunk and pass out, forget about her. And so the bad boy is the one who's like, are we gonna leave her out there? Like, he's the one who's, like, keeps being concerned. But also, you learn, like, in his point of view, he has a secret that the other guys don't know about, and they're worried that when they find out that he'll kind of be shunned like she was. So it's a similar thing. If you don't know what it is, which is why he kind of ends up looking out for her a lot. So he goes and gets her and brings her back from the beach, and they make her, like, move into their house, their church house. She has to sleep in the bathtub, and, like, she has to do whatever they say, but she made it clear it was, like, nothing sexual. Like, I won't do that type of thing. But they still, like, just get in the shower with her and make her move, and, like, it's just all very weird. And it ended in murder. The book one did. So people came to raid the school because they, like, were looters. They wanted, like, toilet paper and food and shit because of quarantines. And there's this one guy that she went with the one guy to the fight club place that he goes to, and, like, they did a doubles fight together, and they had a really good time. They actually got very close that night. And there was this one guy there, though, that grabbed her ass, and so, of course, she decked him. And then the guy started beating the shit out of him, too. And so that guy, it ends up being people from that club who come and be the looters at the school. And so they break in, and then that guy that she decked, he decides he wants to rape her. So he finds her, she's like at the house, because that's the house they're breaking into, is because beforehand, the guys and her took all the toilet paper from the school, took food from the school because they got a call. The governor dad called the son and was like, you need to get yourself supplies because it's going to be bad. So they do that, and everything's at their house, so people are going to their house to loot it. And that one guy shows up, and they start fighting, and he's like just chasing her all over the house, and then she's like, oh, the catacombs, because they live above catacombs, and there's a door to these catacombs in their house. So she decides to go down there and just run from this wannabe rapist guy, and ends up cornered by him, but then, like, all the other people were, like, trying to find her now, and she had a knife, and she ends up killing him, and she, like, starts freaking out. And then the other guys, like, all pick up the knife and stab him at each, and they're like, I killed him, and I killed him, and I killed him, and then the one guy just slits the fucking throat. He's like, I killed him. And now they, like, all have this secret, and they're, like, in this together type of thing. And one of the people that did the stabbing was the PE teacher. So now a teacher has also committed murder. Okay. And I was like, she was freaking out. I was like, one, you're, like, a rich girl. You can get out of this. Two, you were literally being chased because he wanted to rape you. Like, I think a little murder's fine here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that all happened, and now maybe they're gonna be nicer to her in the second book. I don't know. I'll have to read it and see.
Okay.
But it's a lot. I don't know how I feel about it. But I always with these kinds of books, I'm just like, why am I reading this? Download book 2. Like, I have to know where it's gonna go now to see what the fuck is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I need to see what Bad Boy's secret is. That's gnawing at me. But yeah, the one guy who was nice to her and slept with her, the only one of them that has slept with her, his personality flipped, man. I don't know about it. He literally, at one point, when she was their slave, woke her up at like 3 a.m., took her into the woods in a grave plot he dug up for her, and pointed a gun at her head, and he was going to shoot her and murder her and keep it a secret from the other guys. And because he's like, is having a mental break, essentially, personality shift. And he's been going back and forth, like very violent, towards her and stuff. And he was just sick of seeing her around, so he's like, I made you a grave, and now I'm gonna shoot you and kill you. And she had to like convince him not to, and then he like ended up having a break, made out with her, and then it was like, don't tell anyone else about this, and then just left her. And it was just like such a whiplash from this guy. I was like, I want you to get a redemption arc. I don't know about it. And then they were pissed off at her. I can't remember what she did, but they got pissed. And she has these letters that she writes to her sister, but her sister is dead. And so she like writes as ways to like vent, to kind of like keep her sister alive. And she also has letters that her sister wrote her, that like the last letter she gave her and stuff. They ended up finding those and burning them in front of her because they were pissed off at her. And she, after that, now she's like, that's when she like kind of planned her revenge, and she's teaming up with the PE teacher because he also hates the main guy's family. Apparently his dad ruined his life somehow. I just don't know what happened there, but he's like, he has dirt on all of them because like he knows them all, and so he can like help her to like sabotage them from the inside, essentially. And but yeah, so they burned those letters, and now I'm like, I don't think you're gonna get redeemed for me, because that was the main guy that did that, and it was just very upsetting. And the one time, like, she kind of broke down, because even the biker guy, he was kind of like, I think this is too far, and the one guy's like, I'll decide when it's too far, and he just threw them all in there. I was like, fuck you. So yeah, I forgot that happened. Oh, that's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, and those are crimes.
Yeah, so there's some crimes for you. Yeah, remember, this is like, they're in high school.
Oh my god.
Like, all of this shit is weird.
But yeah, no, I've never been into, like, bully stuff, because, like, I mean, I tried to watch that one show that has Dylan Wang in it, because I love Dylan Wang. I think he is incredible.
Who is that?
Here, I'll show you. Or Dylan Wong, sorry.
Okay, what's the show?
I forget what it's called, because I literally had to stop watching halfway through because I hated it so much. And I loved the side characters. Now, one of them I kind of stopped liking for a while. but his name was Huazele. He was like the musician, and I really liked him.
Oh, Boys Over Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never finished that either. It was, I just got too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one I liked.
Well, see, and I
The
liked
musician guy.
I liked the other two as well.
I can't remember the other two. It's been a really long time.
One of their names starts with an M, and the other, it's Schumann, and the other one starts
Oh,
with
I
an M.
did like the other guys, but they weren't.
They were like the side characters.
Yeah, they had nothing to do with the main girl.
No, it was like Huazele and Dylan Wong's character.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his character's name either.
Any other, but I did not like him.
Your flower is sticking to you.
Oh. At first I was like, what are you talking about?
your flower is sticking to you. You leaned back and it came with you. But no, because that was like a bully romance.
Yeah, it was. I forgot about that completely.
And at first, I was like watching it, and because, I love a good enemies to lovers as anybody. And that's kind of what I went in thinking it was gonna be. Because, gosh, when I started it, I had to have been like 19 or something like that. 19 or 20. Like, it was a long time ago. So I didn't really know that there was a bully romance genre, and like bully romance and enemies to lovers were different. I thought it was like, they don't get along, but then they fall in love, and I'm like, I love that. I apparently do not like bully romance, because that's what Boys Over Flowers was.
Yeah.
And I could not get through it. I was like, no, like, this is not, like, love. Him being like, oh, I love you, and, like, we're together. Like, no, he was just toxic and abusive, and I was like, I can't watch this. Like,
Yeah.
I hate this.
I had trouble. Yeah, I never finished that also. Reading it is definitely easier. I forgot all about that show. Yeah, I only got... Oh, shit, I don't even know. I didn't get that far, I don't think. I think I got halfway, maybe. Because it was a long one.
Yeah, I think I only got to, like, episodes... For some reason, I have two distinct numbers in my head. I either got to episode 16 or I got to episode 21. I don't remember.
I mean, they're not that far off from each other, so...
So somewhere in that. Like, those are just the two numbers that are sticking out in my head.
I'm just kind of curious now. Oh, this is a different one.
Yeah, there's another Boys Over Flowers.
Okay. I can't find the one I watched.
I think the other one is...
older, right?
Yeah.
No. Maybe it's not called Boys. Maybe I'm just saying the...
Okay, yeah, because there's a F4 Thailand Boys Over Flowers. Meteor Garden. That's what it was. It was called Meteor Garden.
Yeah, same thing though.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, it does now. Okay, let's see. How far did I get? I got... Oh wow, I got to episode 34.
Okay, so you did
and
better
gave
than
up
I.
on it. And there are 49 episodes. So I got really cool. Why didn't I just finish it?
Oh, it was Schumann. It wasn't Schumann. It was Schumann
Yes.
and Meslo. And I liked the two of them a lot.
Yeah, I got to episode 34, and there was like a weird kidnapping plot line that came in with her, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I gave up. Because I'm pretty sure it's the main bully guy's grandmother that arranged her kidnap. I don't know. It was just so out there. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I thought this was a school romance thing, and now they're like, being kidnapped. I don't know.
That's kind of how, and that's what it's so, like, some of these shows will just have, like, random kidnapping
I know!
plots, and it's so weird. Like, I never watched Itaewon Class, but I know a lot of people liked it, and then they had a weird kidnapping plot, and everyone was like, why did they do this? Like, it doesn't
a lot in
make
Eastern
any
TV
sense.
shows.
And, like, at least when I watched, like, Love in the Air, there was, like, a kidnapping plot, but it made sense. Like, they were part of a motorcycle gang.
Okay.
And so, like, one of the main character beat this guy in a race, like, or, like, one of the main characters beat the guy in a race, and then he was like, well, I want to race you, who was the other main character who mainly worked on the motorcycles, but also raced them, but he liked being a mechanic. That was his, like, he loved working on motorcycles. Well, then they raced, and he won again. So this guy has now lost twice, and he was not happy about it.
Right.
So then, they're part of this, like, exclusive gang. Like, they can't talk about it, like, it's illegal, like, And then, so to get back at him, they, kidnap his lover, and I'm like, well, this, like, makes sense. Like,
yeah,
at least this kidnapping plot makes sense.
When there's, like, motorcycle gangs, sure. But yeah, when it's, like, a school setting.
It's just, like, these are just these random people. Why are they getting kidnapped?
Yeah. That's funny. There really are a lot of kidnapping plots just thrown in.
And it's like, takes you by, you're like, because you never expect it because it doesn't make sense. You're like, why is this happening?
It's like, I feel the same way with anime sometimes. They'll throw in the most weird plot points there, and you're like, where did this come from? Why do we need this?
And like, I know a lot of people joke about like the vacation episodes.
The beach episodes.
Yeah, because it's so random.
But there's always one.
You'll just be watching this anime and you'll be like following the storyline, and then all of a sudden they're like on a boat going to a beach, and you're like,
what?
Okay.
Are we just saving the world?
I guess. Like, I mean, I guess you deserve to have fun too, but like,
it is very funny.
It could have been like set up a little bit. Like, I don't know.
I guess I just know people just expect beach episode.
But going back to like the bully romance, because there's this show that I was super excited to watch because whenever I watched Never Let Me Go, these two actors were in Never Let Me Go, and they have a new series called Dangerous Romance, and I was like, ooh, I'm so excited for this, like it's gonna be so good. And then it was like, it starts off with like the one guy is just like bullying the fuck out of the other guy the whole time, but then apparently he's liked him, and I'm like, no, I don't like this plot, and I was so excited for this show. And now I'm like, do I watch it? Do I at least try to watch it and see if I can get through it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched it yet because I'm just like,
bullies.
And right now I'm watching OnlyFriends, and I haven't been able to watch any TV since OnlyFriends has started. I'm like, I can't do anything else. I can't handle anything else. I'm like, I watch one episode every Saturday morning, and I'm like,
that's all you can handle.
I can't watch any more television ever. Like,
this is it.
This is taking years off of my life watching this show.
That's so funny.
And like, I watch one episode and I have to like reflect at my ceiling, and then I don't know what to do with myself until next Saturday, because I'm like, can we resolve something? Can someone in the show learn how to communicate with another person? Like, I don't.
So what is this show?
Okay, so it's called OnlyFriends.
Okay.
It's a Thai show. Like I said, I've been watching, my Thai dramas.
Yes.
So, like, we just talked about Love in the Air. Dangerous Romance is one of those. Never Let Me Go was also one of those. And that's where the actors were from. But OnlyFriends is one that just started being released, 9 weeks ago. Because episode 9 just released yesterday. Hold on. I'm going to take me a little drink.
Okay.
I feel like I need to do a shot before I start talking about this.
No.
I feel like every time I watch the show, I'm like, I need to start drinking immediately. Like, can't wait to go to work tonight so I can start drinking. Because
sounds stressful.
It is. But it's got like Neo is in it, who I love so much. I think Neo is great. He's a great actor, and he always gets these kind of like roles that are like where he's kind of like just a silly goofy guy. Like, that's his whole thing, is he's like, I'm just a silly goofy guy. But in The Eclipse, which was a show that he was in last year, he was still kind of like the silly goofy, like kind of sporty character, but he did have like a more serious role. Okay. But in this show, he's like, it's to a 10. Like, he is to a 10. And it's really good. I like that they put him in this role and gave him this chance. And then it's also got Force in it, and it's got Book and First, and Kao Sung, who is probably one of, like, Kao Sung is like one of my favorite actors. Like, I'm in love with him. He is everything to me. But so are like all of them. They're all really good, and I've liked all of the stuff I've seen them in before. Mark is also in it. I haven't seen a lot of Mark before. I think I saw him in like one show. He was in My School President, which is like a very cutesy show, which I loved so much. It was adorable.
I feel like I've heard of that.
It's very good. It's very cute. And if you think about like an enemies to lovers show, it's perfect because they're not enemies at all. Literally, it's Fourth and Gemini are the two actors in it, and what are their characters' names? A 10, who's played by Gemini, and then Fourth plays Gunn. And so Gunn is like the lead singer of this band.
Okay.
And they're part of this music club at school. And 10 is the school president and like the principal's son. And so 10 is doing all of these things, trying to make sure Gunn gets to keep his club. Because he has had a crush on Gunn since the moment he laid eyes on him. But Gunn thinks that 10 is trying to get their club disbanded. And so they're always fighting. And then 10 is like, well, here, you can't do this. And like basically motivating Gunn through like kind of being mean to him. And like, but it's not. Like, it's just so cute. Literally, he was like supposed to be doing like paperwork for the school. What is that club called? The school council? School council?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't a part of it.
I mean, I wasn't either.
He was supposed to be doing like paperwork, and he was like drawing a little picture of Gunn like singing, and was just like, "You're so cute." Like, I was like, "This is fucking adorable." But anyways, Mark was in that show.
Okay.
And then so now he's in Only Friends, and it is just, here is my school president, and out of the door is Only Friends. Like,
Gotcha.
And I like Force and I like Book because they were in Enchanté, and sometimes I just spam watch these shows and I'm like,
kind of run together.
yeah, I'm like, what else were they in? They were in Enchanté. That one was good. That one was cute. I didn't like the way it ended, but it was fine. It was still a good show. It was a good watch. I just wish they had done something a little different with the way it ended, but that's okay. And then what was the other one? Oh my god.
No.
Because I liked that one too. And I can't think of what it is. Oh, A Boss and a Babe.
Okay.
So he, like, Force ran his own video game company, and Book's character was the intern at that company. That one was really good too. But yeah, so, and then First and Katsung were in The Eclipse, which was, I think, was the first Thai drama that I watched. Like, that's what I started with. Because I watched the R Sky episodes, which I don't remember. I think I told you about this last time we talked about when I was watching Thai dramas. But basically, like, these R Sky episodes were, like, future scenes from other dramas. So, like, they would take a drama, and then they, like, film, like, 2 episodes that were, like, another scene, basically, that continued the drama, but was just more like a one-shot. Like, it didn't really continue the plot in any way. Like, it was just more like a, here's more of them.
Gotcha.
So, and then I watched The Eclipse, which First and Katsung were in, and so all of these people are in Only Friends as, like, the 6 main characters.
Okay.
And then you've got Chum and April, who are also not super the main characters, but, like, they're in that friend group because they're all running a hotel, and it's Ray, Mew, Boston, and Chum are running this hotel. And April is played by Nanan's sister, who Nanan is another actor. So that was really cool. I think this might be her first acting role. I don't remember, but that's really cool too.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I don't even know how to describe this plot. It's just drama. Like, it's just,
all right.
dear God, like, it is insane. So it starts off, they're at a bar. So Neo plays Boston, and I don't know if I can even, like, but Neo plays Boston. Mark plays Nick. First plays Send. Kaltung plays Ray. Force plays Top, and Book plays Mew. So it's Mew, Boston, Ray, and Chum are all, like, hanging out drinking at the bar. Sand is a musician. He is playing music at the bar. Top is also at the bar.
Okay.
Him and Boston have previously hooked up.
Okay.
Boston hooks up with everybody that he sees. Top also hooks up with everybody that he sees. But Boston, for some reason, wants to get Mew laid because Mew has never slept with anybody before. So he goes and introduces Top to Mew.
Okay.
And this whole time, Ray is just drunk off of his ass. He is a very bad alcoholic. He is drunk all of the time because his mom died and he misses his mom and he thinks his friends don't care about him. And so he's just drunk like every time.
Okay.
But so this whole thing is happening with like Boston trying to set up Top and Mew. And so then Top takes Mew back to Mew's apartment, or Top's apartment. No, Mew's apartment. I don't even remember which apartment they went back to. But Mew was like, no, we're not doing this. Like, if we're going to do this, like, I want a boyfriend. Like, I want to date. So then they start dating, like, immediately. And it's like, okay. And then they break up and they're like, okay, we got to restart. Like, I want proper, like, you know, going on dates and, like, yeah, like, just restart this from the beginning. Like, yeah, rewind. And so then they do. And so then, like, but that happened, like, later, when they restarted. But basically, Top and Mew are now, like, officially together for whatever reason.
For whatever.
And then Boston is upset because he wants to hook up with Top again. And keeps trying to hook up with Top. And tried to hook up with him when they went, jet skiing, or like waterboarding. Or wait, no, that's a torture device. What's the sport where you...
Like wave boarding?
Wakeboarding.
They went waterboarding. That's a crime. That's a cute date idea. Why don't you go waterboard some people?
I was like, the second I said it, I was like, that's not right. They went wakeboarding. And so Top is like washing off in the shower, and then like Boston just comes in the shower with him and like starts trying to kiss him and everything, and Top is like, this is weird. And then Mew comes into the bathroom, doesn't see that, but I thought like Mew still knew. And then and Ray also hates Top. Ray cannot stand his ass. Because Ray is in love with Mew, but Ray is also hooking up with San, the musician.
Okay.
So that's also a whole thing. And then they have a party at the hotel, or like, they call it like the hostel, but it's like a hotel, because they're all business majors, and I guess as part of their project, they have to run a business, like in order to graduate, which is like the craziest thing I've ever heard of. That's the craziest part about the show. It's like they had to start a business as like a final project.
Okay.
And they just were
Like a hotel?
yeah. So that's what they did, and they're throwing this party. And Ray invites San to play. And like Ray's having a great time. He's watching San play music. He's like had a couple drinks, but isn't going too crazy. And Boston, who is the worst person alive. I hate him so much.
No.
Which is so, because I love Neo. And I love Neo so incredibly much. I think Neo's great. But, oh my god, Boston is the worst person ever. I cannot stand him. And this is also after Boston has hooked up with Nick, who is played by Mark, who he went to go get his phone fixed, and then when he went to go pick up his phone, they just slept together in the tech store. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like, what is going on? And then, so, everybody's at this party. Like, Chum is, April is, they're doing great. They're like the only sane people in the show. Although I don't really like Chum that much, but that's for a whole other reason. But that's fine. We can get into that later.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're there. Top is there. Mew is there. San is playing. Ray invited San to be the band for this party. Boston's there. Nick is there. Everybody's there. And Ray's having a great time. He's watching Sam play. They've hooked up. They're hanging out. And then Boston comes up and is just like, start shit. immediately with Ray. And it's like, oh, I thought you were still in love with Mew, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like ruining Ray's night. Like, and so that was the whole thing. And then he like corners Top in the kitchen and it's like, I have something I need to show you. And he's got like a video of Ray and Mew from like 2 years ago and is like going to show it to Top. So Top takes Mew home and then goes back to the hotel to meet up with Boston so he can like see whatever Boston has to show him. And so Boston shows him the video of Ray and Mew kissing from like 2 years ago. And Boston, who is like literally the most evil person alive, he is just pure evil. Like when I first saw the trailer, I was like, no one in the show is truly evil. Like they're just, toxic and bad for each other and going through some shit. But
now you're like, no, evil.
And then I got to know Boston's character and I was like, no, he literally just intrinsically as a person sucks so much. Like he is just the worst. But he shows Top this video and it's like, because at this point Top has denied hooking up with Boston again ever since he started seeing Mew. He was like, no, like I don't want to, like, ick. I think like Boston cornered Top in an elevator and at one point and literally Top was like, ew, no. Like, if I remember correctly, or maybe I just made that up in my head because I was
said it.
I was like, ew, no. But so he shows Top this video and then he starts manipulating Top. He's like, Ray has been in love with Mew like for years, and which Top is like, it starts clicking in his head because he sees Ray always around Mew and like he sees Mew wanting to hang out with Ray. And like he had to drag Mew away from Ray. Like Mew, when Top was like, okay, let's go, like Mew was like, no, I want to stay with Ray. And Top was like, no, come on, I like need to take you home. So he's like starting to think like, oh. Mm-hmm. And then Boston is like, yeah, and like, Mew is actually in love with Ray and has been this whole time. And Mew is just using you to get to Ray. And so he was like, and even though the video was just of them kissing, Boston was like, yeah, and they've definitely, like, I think they've hooked up before. So if Mew can hook up with Ray, then why can't we hook up together? And then so Top is like, well, you got me there.
Oh, no.
So then they hook up in the car, and Nick, who is like friends with benefits with Boston, planted a listening device in Boston's car and records the whole thing and has headphones on listening to it as it's happening.
Oh,
no. I'm like, what the fuck? Because at first I was like, oh, poor Nick, like, but no, he's crazy. He's
actually insane.
He's planting listening devices in the car. And then so all of this is just continuing to go on. So Top and Mew are still seeing each other because Mew doesn't know about it, and Boston is still like, hooking up with Nick and hooking up with this guy named, I don't remember.
Okay.
It's Drake's character, which is so funny because every time, like, it was just out of nowhere. They brought Drake into the show and everyone was like, Drake? Like, what's he doing here? But I don't
Ariana, what are you doing here?
I don't remember what his character's name is, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. And then Ray and Sand are still hanging out. And Sand also hates Top because Top stole Sand's ex-boyfriend. So that's a whole storyline. Like, and oh dear. And then, like, Ray is just continuing, like, he gets drunk all the time, and whenever he's hanging out with his friends, he doesn't like Top, and that is just, continuous as part of the storyline. He hates him, because he does kind of, like, he does love Mew, or he thinks he loves Mew, or thinks he's supposed to, because when he tried to kill himself, Mew was the only person that was there for him, because, like I said, his mom died, he's struggling with really bad substance abuse, both with drugs and alcohol. And all of his friends suck so bad. Like, I don't like any of them. Like, I definitely hate Boston. Boston is the worst. But, like, Choom and Mew just, like, don't even care about, like, the fact, like, they just get mad at him every time he drinks. They're like, you just, like, and then they leave him by himself. Like, they call him a burden, and like they called him a burden, and then just left him. And like, I know it's probably annoying to have to like take care of your drunk friends all the time, but like, don't call them a burden and leave them by themselves when they're drunk. If it's really that big of a problem, you wait and talk to them when they're sober, like the next day, or even wait till the day after when they're not hungover and be like, look, like what you're doing isn't healthy for yourself. But no, they just like treat him like he's like the worst. And like whenever whenever Mew found out that Top had slept with Boston, because Sand had stolen the audio. So Nick had told Sand that he recorded the audio. So Sand stole it from Nick's phone and sent it to himself. So then Sand told Ray about it and sent it to Ray. So then Ray showed it to Mew. And then, so it was just a whole thing. And then when Ray told Mew that Top had cheated on him, Ray got like, he was drunk again and was like calling everyone out on their bullshit, because he was like, nobody here likes each other. Like, Choom, you lie to your girlfriend about liking her projects because apparently April like makes films and like Choom doesn't understand, or like, but whenever her girlfriend's like, here, watch this, like, give me feedback, she's like, oh, I love it, but she doesn't. So and then he was like, in Boston, like, you just like suck. Like,
evil.
Nobody likes you. And then he started to talk about Top, but then Mew punched Ray, like, while Ray is just like, and so that was a whole thing. Meanwhile, once again, Ray is drunk because he's an alcoholic. Like, the only time he's ever not really drunk is when he's hanging out with Sam, because Sam makes him drink juice. He's like, here, you're drinking this fruit juice, and I don't want to hear it. Like, drink it right now. But yeah, none of them like treat Ray well. But then after that, Mew and Ray started like dating, which was the worst thing to have come out of that show, because Ray still thinks he's in love with Mew, and then Mew was like, you've been by my side this whole time, blah blah blah. And so then they start dating, and then Mew starts drinking and smoking, and Choom is just like she's like, Ray, you are a terrible friend, you're a bad influence on Mew, no one wants you around, you shouldn't be, like, and it's just like the worst, like, I'm like, oh my god, like, and I was like, I don't know if maybe it's just because I know people who are alcoholics, like, that I'm like, this is a disease, like, you can't control alcoholism or like substance abuse, like, it's an addiction, you can't control that, like, it's not your choice, like, when you start becoming addicted to alcohol and drug abuse, it's because it's an addiction. You physically cannot make yourself stop unless you like intensive therapy and rehab, and it still takes work every single day. Like, it's not just like he's just doing this for funsies. Like, he's struggling.
Funny how times.
Yeah, he's like going through the shit. Like, his mom died, and his dad literally does not give a fuck about him at all. So that's a whole thing. And then this last episode, Top just started hanging out with Mew again. So he's been like trying to get back to Mew, because at the Halloween party, which was last episode, that they also had at the hotel, that was a whole thing where Mew told Ray that he loved him, and then Ray was like, oh, and then tried to kiss him, and Mew was like, no, but then Mew and Top got in an argument, and then Mew threw his drink at Top and then made out with Ray right in front of him, and I'm like, see, you don't love Ray, you're just doing this to get back at Top. But then, so that whole thing happened, and then Ray almost got arrested because he had cocaine on him, but then Top got him out of it, and so that was a whole thing, and then, so basically, this episode, they wake up and like Mew is hungover, and so Top is like cleaning the pool at the hotel, because Top is also now part of this project, or he had been, because he's like the interior designer, like he picked out the furniture for their hotel. So he's cleaning out the pool, and then so Mew goes home, and then his moms come to visit, And then, like, Top just shows up in front of their house and is like, I'll take you shopping so you don't have to take a taxi. And it's just, like, hanging out with their family. And I'm like, this is so weird. And then Sand and Nick go on, like, this camping trip just to, like, get away from everything. Because Sand was like, I just, like, it's the craziest shit. I'm telling you, like, the show is, like, driving me insane. Like, I feel crazy after every episode I watch.
It sounds like drama. You were correct.
And then they're like, yeah, well, we're just going to forget about Boston, and we're going to forget about Ray, and, like, you know, just have fun. And so then Ray calls Sand and is like, where are you? And Sand's like, I'm not telling you. And Ray's like, no, come on, just tell me, I'm on my way. And Sand's like, no, like, I'm not going to tell you. But then Ray sees Nick's Instagram post where he tagged their location. So Ray was like, well, I'm on my way. So then Sand and Nick, who are roommates, and who they decide that they're going to hook up. They're like, we're just going to hook up. It'll be fine. And then they kiss, and then they can't stop laughing because it's so ridiculous to the two of them, which is like, okay, this is like the most normal shit that's happened so far in this show. And then, so Ray shows up, and then just is like, jumps into bed with both Sand and Nick, and then is just like, completely in the middle. And then so Nick just leaves. Like, Nick takes off. He's like left a note. He was like, y'all have fun. And then so Nick is now hooking up with the guy that interviewed him for his job. And he's at a bar. They're dancing. And then he sees Boston. So Boston is going to the bathroom to hook up with this guy in the bathroom. And Nick follows them and then knocks on the door. And then Boston's like, someone's in here. And then Nick just keeps knocking until Boston opens the door, just to tell Boston that he's over him and that he just wanted to say, like, one last thing. And then Boston will never have to see him again. Basically just getting closure and being like, yeah, we're done. Meanwhile, you chased him down in a bathroom. But this is fine, I guess. And then so Sand and Ray are now together. They told each other that they both like each other. And so then they go back to town, and then, like, Ray went back to court, or, like, not really to court, but, like, to, I don't know what it really is, but basically he's having to do community service because he got caught drunk driving and got in an accident, which luckily no one else was in the accident, but he broke his arm, so it had to be reported. Gotcha. So he's now doing community service to make up for it. So he's like, he's at this building where he's, like, turning in his hours. Like, I don't really know what that is. But then, and then Mew came with him. And then Mew was all like, oh, you know, like, the thing with you and Sand is basically what Top did to me with Boston. And I'm like, well, you don't really like Ray at all, so does it really matter? But then Mew was like, but it's not really fair because you were right, like, I am just using you to get back at Top, like, and I'm like, okay, finally we're making some sense. Like, so Ray and Mew broke up, and I cheered. I was like, thank God, because this was such a weird part of the story. Like, that never needed to happen. So yeah, that's where that left off with Only Friends, and now I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's stressful every Saturday. I'm like,
sounds it.
Choom and April are the only sane people in the show. Like, when Ray was like, oh, you know, exposing them and trying to get everyone to hate each other, April was like, why didn't you just tell me? And Choom was like, I didn't want to hurt you. They, like, talked it out like adults. Like, but no one else in the show knows how to communicate with one another. It's driving me crazy. And also, Boston sucks.
I'm getting that. Okay, that sounds like a lot.
Okay, I'm so sorry I talked about that for so long.
Hey, I took up time we needed, so I'd say that worked out.
I was like, I really wasn't planning on, like, going there. I just was planning on talking about how I wasn't sure if I wanted to start dangerous romance or not.
I mean, it sounded like you needed to get all of that off your chest.
Yeah, I've been bottling up for so long. I'm just like,
Well, anything else to say?
Not about that, no.
Just about anything.
No, I don't think so. And I'm like, unless you just want to keep talking, because I can come up with other stuff. Trust me, if there's one thing I can do is talk. So.
I mean, I think we could probably call this one here.
Okay.
If you feel good about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this episode. I'm like, I just kind of went off on a wild, wild tangent there.
I liked it. I mean, we both kind of talked about some crimes that were happening in two different media. So
we kind of did stick to our what we wanted our premise to be. It just wasn't written out.
Yeah, it was going off the book.
Yeah, lots of crimes are happening in OnlyFriends. Mainly, like, planting listening devices on people. Also, the guy that Boston hooked up with, played by Drake, recorded a sex tape with Boston without Boston knowing. And then Mew said that he wanted to hook up with Drake and be a part of the video just so he could steal the tape of his character and Boston so he could get back at Boston for hooking up with Top. But then he didn't end up posting it. He just, like, showed it to Boston and was like, I'm not a bad person, so I'm not gonna post it. And I'm like, I still think doing what you did to get that footage makes you a bad person, but that's okay, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Drama, drama, drama.
So much. Like, I literally, after every episode, I feel like I need to pull out my hair. Okay, so shall we spin?
Let's do it. So, what did we get?
So we got cooking.
Yeah.
Which we haven't done since my brother was in town from Japan.
So, we'll cook up some stuff.
And we'll be drinking whatever Brittany wants us to drink.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll try to match the food.
Right.
I like food. I like drinking.
Me too. So it's going to be a fun week. We're going to have a good time.
Yes.
Which we deserve, honestly.
Yes. Obviously.
But if you would like to find us as a podcast, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube is like the other main one. But we are at Sip and Spin Pod, or you can email us at sipandspinpod@gmail.com. If you'd like to find Brittany, you can find her at Whimsy Dream or Whimsy Dreams. If you'd like to find me, I am Gleam YKS on everything. But as always, the 3 link trees will be down in the description below. And don't forget, if you have any category suggestions you want to throw at us, just send us a DM or an email.
Yeah.
DM would probably be easier because I never check our Gmail.
I do, so email's fine.
Okay. Well, Brittany's on top of it. I just have her send me screenshots of the emails that she thinks are important.
Pretty much. So she'll see it either way. But yes, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you, and we will see you next time.
Yep. Sip with you then. Bye.
Bye.